Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
Hello and welcome to TruPowur Academy and a happy new year to everybody. And let's get started with episode 252. When you are working with the CRM, obviously you need customer leads within the CRM. And in order to do that, you need to request that from support. So when you click on request customer leads, and I put my name and email and extension in there so support knows who to send it to. There's a couple things that you want to observe. One is the market updates. The market updates are tied to the analytics of the platform, of the pricing platform. And why is that important? Well, as we've said before, when you look at things like gold prices, when gold prices are up, they're up globally, right? You never hear, well, gold's cheaper in Iowa today. So, but energy is not like that. It's always changing. It's seasonal, regional, hour to hour. And so we want to focus where we can provide customers the greatest amount of impact. I always get people that call me and say, hey, I went to the website and I put in my zip code and I looked at the rates and they're no good. And I'm like, well, where are you? And they'll tell me, I'm like, well, that's because you're looking at a time when you shouldn't really be looking. That's not really the most affordable time. So energy is not necessarily the best for everybody all the time. So we want to make sure that we're focusing where we can provide customers the greatest amount of impact. So when we look at the market updates, we click on that link, it will bring you to here. So now the analytics are going to look at all of the markets on all territories on a daily basis and then create this report in your back office so that you know where the best markets are. So for commercial electricity, we see that Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, quite a big list today. So there's some good opportunities there for commercial natural gas, as well as residential electric and natural gas. So if I'm going to be working during the day, that's typically when people are at work. So I'm going to be talking to commercial customers as opposed to residential customers, even though more people are working from home. Traditionally, residential is going to be after 5 o'clock their time and or weekends. So if I look at this, which one of these do I want? Well, some of that may be choice by time zone. So if you're wanting to have a couple of different time zones so that you start on the East Coast and work your way to the West Coast, then that's obviously a choice. But also want to know what services or products can I provide the customer that I can maximize the benefit for the customer? Because if I benefit the customer, then I benefit myself, right? So when you look at the lead request down here at the bottom, you can see that the basic structure of the different services and products that we offer, such as the utility autopilot, commercial custom pricing, matrix pricing for both commercial and residential, the community solar farms, and residential solar installs. Now, this is listed in alphabetical order based on state. If you want to break that down and group that a little bit better, if you go to page 2, we'll blow this up to make it a little easier. You can see that I have grouped the states that provide the most amount of opportunities towards the top. So if I'm looking at my market updates and I say Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, PA, then I'm going to look at this and say, okay, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut. Obviously, Connecticut has quite a bit of diversity in there, but Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, they all have some great stuff. So Maryland, obviously, we can do the utility audit. That's for commercial customers only. For the autopilot, we can do commercial and residential. And the autopilot is similar to the utility audit in some ways. The utility audit is where we actually go backwards in time, up to 4 years, identifying the errors that are not just on the bill, but actually buried within the utility, and going back up to 4 years. And based on the statute of limitations, we're able to recover that as a refund. The autopilot doesn't audit those bills, but the autopilot allows you to upload all of the customer's bills. In other words, every bill that they have monthly, except their mortgage, car payment, and credit card. So electric, natural gas, water, trash, sewer, cable, internet, cell phone, water bottle delivery, anything that's a monthly bill, upload it to the system. We don't change any of their services. So if you have customers like, I'm not switching anything, then that's a perfect fit for them, because we just take their usage, add it to our aggregated usage, and renegotiate how much they actually pay without changing any of their services whatsoever. On average, for a residential customer, we see a lot of those that have savings of upwards of $400 to $1,700 a year. So that can be pretty significant. The commercial utility audit, where we go backwards up to 4 years, takes time. It can take 30, 60, 90. I've even seen some take upwards of 120 days. So that's not today money. That's down the road tomorrow money at best, right? So, but that's our door opener, because it's a much softer, friendlier, easier approach in getting in with that commercial customer. Once we have a copy of that utility bill, you upload it to the auditors, then we're going to want to immediately put that into the pricing platform to see what, if any, additional savings we can provide them moving forward, either through custom pricing, which is the reverse auction, or matrix pricing, to see what we can provide them moving forward. Odds are, if we're going based off of the analytics and the market updates, odds are we're going to be able to provide that customer some value proposition. So we'll create a proposal, send that to the customer, and then bridge that conversation from the audit over to the supplier side. So matrix pricing for both commercial and residential. In this case, Maryland, we have electric and natural gas for both residential and commercial. And we have the community solar program available. The community solar is for those people who may have less than best credit, that are renters, condo owners, apartment dwellers, people that live in a trailer, cardboard box, anybody who doesn't have free will access to the roof. Then we would want to use the community solar program for those people. That's going to add an additional 10 to 25% savings over what they're currently paying. We don't have to install anything. We don't lock them in any long-term contract. They're guaranteed to save for a minimum of 20 years. They can switch and cancel at any time. Does not matter. Residential solar installs. So if we have customers on the residential side that want to be energy independent and install solar on their home, and they are a homeowner, with a credit score of 600 or more, then we can install that. Couple of bonus notes here, and that is it's zero down, nothing out of pocket, and the first year is going to be without payment. So no payments for the first year. Now they can take that first year worth of credit and add it as a principal reduction that comes from the finance company, and so that's their choice. Now, if you have anybody that you know that is a real estate investor who likes to buy, fix up, flip homes, that's a great fit for them because they're going to be able to add solar to the home, making it the value increase 4 to 6%. It's going to make it more marketable. It's not going to cost them a penny out of pocket, and it's fully transferable. It costs nothing to transfer it to the new owners. He's not going to have any payments for the first year. I don't think he's going to sit on it for a year. Most investors want to flip that property and get in there and get out as quickly as possible. So that's a good thing for them. These are the basics. Now, there's some nuances in all of that, but these are the basics. So if I look at this and I say, okay, I want to have some Massachusetts leads added to my CRM, then when I go back over here and select that, this is going to, the first field is going to say, okay, commercial, do I want electric matrix only, natural gas only, electric and natural gas matrix pricing, natural gas, electric, custom pricing only. So if I want electric and natural gas, here's Massachusetts. So I'm going to put that in there, add my name, email, extension, hit submit. Support will get that. And then usually they will, depending on how backed up they are, but they're going to get it to you as quickly as they can. And they're going to upload a block of, in this case, Massachusetts customers into your CRM. And those customers that go into your CRM are going to be only in your CRM. So that way we make sure that we don't have 50 people calling the same customer. So take good care of them because you're the only person that's going to talk to them. So now let's jump over to the CRM. So if you're logged in, then it should just go right in. If you're not, then go ahead and log in. This is the high level dashboard that just kind of lets you know where you are in the scheme of things. So if I go into my leads, you can see that right now I have this set at status, campaign, lead source. Everything is all. So now I'm going to see everything that I have. But I wanted to work Massachusetts. And so I want to narrow this down because I can see that in total, I've got 969 leads in the system that I have yet to call. So I see people changing the campaign to commercial, and that's fine, except now you're going to get all your commercial, not narrowing it down to Massachusetts. So leave that to all, go to the lead source, come down here and then pick Massachusetts, if that's the case, or whatever state it is that you're trying to narrow it down. Search. Now I see that has gone down to 232. So now when I click that, that opens up. These are all Massachusetts customers. They're commercial Massachusetts. So all I need to do to get started is click at the top of the list, and that is going to bring the first lead. So you can see right up here, one of 232 leads. Now, calling the customer is pretty simple. Just click on the little green dial button. When you do that, you're going to hear it ring. And once it starts to ring, you're going to notice two buttons, a red button and a blue button. Right there. So the blue button is your voicemail drop, and the red button is to hang up and disconnect. So if I were to call this customer and it went to voicemail, soon as I hear we're not available, if you're connecting with somebody and it goes to their voicemail and it says, "Hi, Matt's not available," the moment you hear that it's voicemail, click that voicemail drop button. Don't wait for the beep. If you wait for the beep, they won't get any message. You'll just hang up on them. So it'll disconnect you from the call. It will wait in the background for the beep and then leave the pre-recorded message, which is obviously in your voice, for them to call you back. Once you've done that, if this was a voicemail drop, then over here you can see that this lead status is still in fresh leads. So I need to change that. So I'm going to change that in progress to first call voicemail drop. So when I do that, it's going to take it out of my fresh lead status and then put it back over here to where you can see in progress, first call, voicemail drop. So you can see these are all the people that I've left the first voicemail drop. So maybe on Friday, I'll go in and then call all those people. Maybe I try them at 10 o'clock, and then maybe next week I'll try them on Tuesday at noon, or the following week, maybe I try and call them all back on Thursday at 3 o'clock. So different times, right? Let's go back over here to our leads. So back over to our leads here. So so updating the status is going to take it out of fresh leads and put it into whatever category that you want to put that in, so you know how to follow up with that customer in the future. If you've spoken to that customer and received their email, then you want to go ahead and put their email in there. And then that will allow you to use the send email function. So when you click on the email, it's going to open up and ask you to select the template. If the person that I spoke to was Eddie, then and I've got Eddie's email address, and I'll leave that there. But if I spoke to Eddie and it says Tom up here, change it. Because when you send the email, it's going to say Tom, and you're going to send it to Eddie, and he's going to think, what the heck? So update that information. And so once you do that, you can select the template. From here, you've got the utility audit request, which is personalized, which means it says, I enjoyed speaking with you today. If you were given Eddie's email by his assistant, then you wouldn't want to send, I enjoyed speaking with you, because you didn't talk to him. So you're going to want to use referred by somebody. I was referred to you as the person who handles controlling the cost, and that's going to say for the name of the business, Active Day of Wakefield. Sending the right email at the right time. So you've got a list of things now. The general email just allows you to put whatever you want in here. So if you want to send a special email, you can type whatever it is that you want in there, hit done, and then hit send. Right. So you've got all of those things that are available to you. Now, every time you make a call, it records. So if you have to go back, rather than asking the person to repeat themselves over and over when you're done with the call, it's much easier to go back and listen to the call and extract that data, whatever it is that you need, rather than being a nuisance and asking the person to repeat themselves 100 times. Plus, it's a good idea sometimes to listen to yourself, because you're going to be the biggest critic. Doing that will be a huge help for yourself. You can also put notes in here. If it's something important that you want to make sure you see next time, then you can click pin that note to the top so it'll stay right up there. So next time, if you put in something in there that says whatever it is that needs to go in there, then put that in there. And then, of course, you have the scripts, which we're going to be doing some updating here pretty soon, as we are making some significant changes in the system and making things a little bit easier. I always treat scripts more as a guideline, right? And so if you just try and read it verbatim, it's never going to work. You have to have a conversation with the individual. Most of the time, just because I've done it for so many years, when I'm talking to a customer and I'm going to request to speak to somebody who is in charge of controlling the cost of the business, I will use that approach depending on the tonality, that I get from the gatekeeper, if they have one. If it just sounds like very busy or it's a great, big, huge company, then I may use more of the commercial outline as a way to get past that quickly. And good morning, please transfer me to accounts receivable. Now, why in the world would I ask for accounts receivable? Who pays the bills? Well, accounts payable pays the bills. But think of it. If you ask for accounts payable, they thinking you're calling to get paid. Where's my check? So they're going to be, who are you? What's this about? You're not going to lie to them. And then they're going to, oh, no, you want to talk to, you don't want to go there, right? And that's it. And if they do transfer you, guess what? It's going to voicemail, because they want to be able to go and look in the account to find out why they didn't get the check to you on time and come up with their story. So when they contact you, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Fox, the check was sent out and it must have got lost, or whatever the excuse is. So we don't need to go that route. If we go with the accounts receivable, that person typically does not have check writing ability. They usually don't have the tenure of the accounts payable. They're not taught to be gatekeepers, and they're very easy to talk to. And guess what? They answer that phone, and the gatekeeper doesn't ask any questions, because if I'm asking for accounts receivable, that means I'm calling to make a payment. And they don't question that. They put you right through. So Mary answers the phone, and guess what? I've never spoken to Mary before. So the first thing I do is say, hi, Mary, my name is Matt Fox with TruPowur in the State Energy Choice Program. I don't recall having spoken to you in the past. Are you new there? It does not matter what the answer is. It's slight deflection in the sense that what you want to do is to be able to get a read on the person, how they respond. I've been here for 80 years. Or, oh no, I just started 6 months ago. I love my job. They're a little more friendly. But it doesn't matter whether they say they've been there for 8 minutes or 80 years. Not a problem. The reason for my call today is I'm working on a report for the owner and need to ask a couple of quick questions to complete my report. Now, we are going to put a report together for the owner of the company for the utility audit, right? We can't complete that without getting a copy of the utility bill. So they are in accounting. They do have access to the AP file. And so they're usually going to be very helpful in the sense of, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I need a copy of the bill in order to finish my report so that I can send that to the owner. You would be a great help to assist me in that, or direct me to who I can. They're going to be very helpful. So one of the things that I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and that was I was listening to their calls, and I noticed that soon as they answered, they were right out of the gate. Yes, is Eddie Dorset available, or whatever name is up here? You will never, ever see on any script that I create or anytime I call anybody that I will ask by name unless they know I'm calling. I will never ask for anybody by name. Does not matter. What happens if Eddie's not there? What happened if Eddie died? What happened if Eddie retired? What happened if Eddie went to another division? There's all kinds of things that could happen to Eddie, right? So we want to make sure that when we ask to speak to the individual who controls the cost of the business, pause, pause, pause. Is that still Eddie? Now I'm asking, but not really. It feels like I've spoken to Eddie in the past, right? I didn't say that, but that's how it feels. So it makes you feel some connection to that individual. Oh no, Eddie retired. Frank now takes care of that. Oh, awesome. I'm going to immediately change this to Frank. And is he also a Dorset? Is that his brother or, oh no, it's Frank Pedasso. So I'm going to change the information. Great. Can you transfer me over? Yes. Boom. So it's important to know how to engage people so that you can get to where you need to go more effectively. When you're talking to people, there's only three things that can come out of their mouth: a statement, a question, an objection. So statements do not need a response. The sky is blue. That's a statement, right? No different than listening to Charlie Brown's teacher talk. Want. The sky is blue. That's a statement. Does not need a response. If you respond, then it becomes a question. And now you just upgraded it to a question. Now you got an issue. So you got statements and you got questions. So how are questions answered? Questions are answered with other questions, even if it's as simple as, is that important to you? So a question would be, is it raining in your neighborhood? Are you coming over today? Right? So those are always handling questions with questions. Objections are a little different because that's a pushback. That's not an acquisitive position to be in. And so when you're talking about on objections, depending on the strength of that objection, you're going to go in two different directions: either feel, felt, found, or isolate, handle, and close. And so with an objection would be, I'm not coming over today. The weatherman said it's going to rain. So if I'm going to feel, felt, found, then I'm going to say, I understand how you feel. I've had a lot of people that felt the same way, but what they found was, if you bring an umbrella when you get out of the car, you won't get wet by the time you get to the front door. Feel, felt, found, right? Or isolate, handle, and close. Now that's a little bit more of somebody who just keeps throwing one hoop right after another. So you want to shut this down. So isolate, handle, and close. So to isolate, all you do is repeat back the objection in the form of a question. I can't come over today. The weatherman said it's going to rain out. Oh, so the only reason why you can't come over today is because the weatherman said it might rain out? Well, they're going to say yes, because that's exactly what they just said, except that I said the only reason. I don't want there to be any other more reasons that I got to jump through. So if I can handle this, I want to be done with all of the pushback, right? So isolate, handle. I'll send you an umbrella. Close. If it's raining when you get out of the car, you won't get wet when you come to the front door. Does that make sense? Isolate, handle, and close, or feel, felt, found. So if you have somebody that asks a question and you treat it like an objection, guess what? You just upgraded it to an objection. If you have a statement and you treat it like a question, then you just upgraded it to a question. So I always try and encourage people to learn how to respond to those kinds of things. And so it's okay that if you get stumped, great. Before you make another call, mentally, I would personally write it down, because when you write it down, it gets committed to memory, right? Whatever that objection was, think of 3 ways to handle that objection before you make the next phone call, because the next phone call may be the same objection. Now, if you see the same kind of objections or issues repeating themselves, then maybe we need to talk, because it's either something you're saying or something you're not saying, or how you're saying or how you're not saying it. So hopefully that kind of helps a little bit with that arena. And so feel, felt, found, isolate, handle, and close, questions with questions. Now, what happens if somebody says that they are not interested? I had somebody last week that told me they weren't interested. And I said, that's exactly why I'm calling. So what do you mean? I said, well, if you were interested, you would have called me. Right? So he said, well, I'm still not interested. And I said, I'll buy that if you can tell me why you think I'm calling. Well, because you want to switch our electric, or you want to do this, or you want to do that. No, that's not why I'm calling. Oh, why are you calling? Okay, so now I got the signal, right? So now I can talk to them about the utility audit. Fact of the matter is that we provide a service where we go back up to 4 years based on the statute of limitations, and are able to look at not just the errors that are visible to you, but the errors that are not visible to you, that are buried within the utility, and the overcharges and errors that are in the capacity classification and tariff that resulted in unwanted charges. And believe it or not, 70% of the time we find errors that result in substantial refunds going back to you. Now, if you're going to digress here a moment and tell me that if you are due money and you're being overcharged, you're not interested in knowing, or you're not interested in getting that money back, which one of those? So, right? Left or right? Yes or no? So ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost them a dime. They should be doing this every 4 to 5 years anyway. So enough of that. Anyway, so it's important that you change the status of each one of these so that it takes it out of the fresh leads and puts it into whatever category that is. Awesome. So we covered some good information today. I want to thank everybody for being on the call. And like always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So have fun storming the castle. Bye now.